everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, One Book or Novel at a Time. Here I am, ready to read to you another sad, tragic, and ghostly story. I will be reading The Woman in White at Roma, Ghost of the Rio Grande Valley, written by David Bowles, and its illustrations were created by Jose Melendez. Thank you to Mr. David Bowles for allowing me to share this story and using his book to bring to life this ghostly tale. And the legend goes like this. The Woman in White, illustration by Jose Melendez. Isabel Salinas had always shown a measure of devotion to the church and pity that her sisters could not rival. It was no surprise to her parents then when, as a teenager, she expressed a desire to dedicate her life to the service of Christ. Mr. and Mrs. Salinas accompanied their daughter to the parish hall, which housed the convent of the Sisters of Mercy on the northwest corner of the plaza. The Mother Superior greeted them warmly. Already well acquainted with Isabel's pious heart, she accepted the young woman with little hesitation as a postulant. In 6 months' time, she assured Isabel, God willing and your heart proven, you will don the habit of a novice and enter training. The young woman was ecstatic. In addition to her normal duties at home and her service to her community, she began spending a few hours each day within the partial seclusion of the religious compound, carrying out minor chores and learning of her eventual life as a novice. She came to love the physical presence of the convent, the one-story brick building with its restrained classical aesthetics, its deeply pitched roof, porch she so diligently swept each evening, the balustrades of the cupola's desk. It struck her as the very sober embodiment of the sacred church she longed to embrace. One day, letting the breeze dry droplets of perspiration from her brow, as she stood in the more secluded rear area of the grounds, she felt someone's gaze. Turning her eyes north, she saw a man staring at her over the 5-foot wall and through the glossy green leaves of the ebony trees. "Hello, ma'am," he called in English. "Didn't mean to startle you. I'm just new here and mighty curious about everything." "Oh, well, then," Isabel replied, "I hope you enjoy your stay." He smiled, and something strange unknotted within her chest. "Name's Daniel Garza. I'm from San Antonio, but a job opportunity in the oil business brought me to your fair city." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Garza. My name is Isabel Salinas." They spoke a little longer over that wall about Roma and its amenities, and then Daniel took his leave. A few days later, he walked by the convent again, exchanging a few pleasantries with her. Before long, this had become his custom, and Isabel found the brief conversations agreeable. When they chanced to see each other at Mass, Daniel would send the most courteous and chaste of nods her way. He was proper and polite, and she told herself that she was simply being a good neighbor and Catholic by speaking with it. Then came the week that he did not visit the plaza, and Isabel's heart tightened with each passing day, imagining horrible accidents with the machinery his job required him to operate. The relief she felt when his face finally peeked over the top of the wall was a cause for both joy and regret. She understood in that moment that she was in love. Daniel explained that he had been back in San Antonio visiting with relatives from Spain who had brought him up to date on the Civil War that was exploding as Francisco Franco's nationalists swept across the country with their fascist zeal. "It's a horrible situation," he told her. "Spain needs international help, but few countries want to intervene. I think that's a real mistake. This sort of crazy thinking is bubbling up all over the place, and we all have to fight it to keep our liberty." His zealous desire to defend his principles and the lives of others made him that much appealing to Isabel. She prayed long and hard about her feelings and realized that God was pulling her in a different direction. Before speaking to Daniel or her parents, she approached the Mother Superior. She smiled and patted the young girl's hands with affection. "Perfectly all right, my daughter. This is precisely why we have prospective nuns spend time as postulants. Your calling is elsewhere. I respect your willingness to face that truth." The following afternoon, she was waiting for Daniel outside the site where he was employed. A look at first confusion and then dawning happiness washed over his face. Walking briskly, he took her hands. "More than I could have hoped for." Isabel smiled. "We bend to the will of our Father, Daniel, even where the heart is concerned." The next few weeks were difficult. As Isabel announced her decision to abandon her earlier goal and Daniel came to ask for her hand in marriage. The young man was charming, however, from a Catholic family, in good standing in the Alamo City, and her parents soon warmed to the courtship. Christmas came, and winter stretched weakly into the valley as the town of Roma ushered in 1937. A date had been set that June for the wedding, and Isabel spent hours with her mother and sisters, designing and confectioning a lovely white dress in which to say her eternal vows. Her elation was so great that it took her a moment to process the look on Daniel's face when he came to visit her. Determination had set his jaw tight, but his eyes shifted with a sense of remorse or guilt. "What?" she managed to ask, her stomach fluttering with precise. "It's the Nationalists. They put out a call for assistance. A group of Americans and Canadians are heading Alien. I need to go. I have to help." Isabel quailed, her hands reaching for him. "No, wait, it's not your fight, Daniel." "Yes, it is, my love. It's everyone's fight. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I did nothing to stop the rise of a dictator." "But, the wedding!" "I'll be back by June, Isabel. I swear it. Just let me go. You know very well what this means to me." In the end, there was little she could do to restrain him. He vowed again and again that he would return unscathed. All that was left to her was to pray unceasingly to the Virgin for his safety. It was called the Abraham Lincoln Battalion. After less than 2 months' training, the volunteers were given guns loaded with 100 bullets and set to fight. In late February, during a useless assault on Nationalist position that history would call the Battle of Jarama, that North American contingent of Republican forces lost 2/3 of its men, including Daniel Garza. The tragic outcome took time to reach Daniel's family, who then sent one of his siblings to break the news to Isabel. She was shattered. When his body was laid to rest in San Antonio, she wept inconsolably, throwing herself on the coffin in despair. Her family took her home and tried to help her through her grief, called their priest and the Mother Superior to ease her aching soul, but her faith was unraveling. "Why? Why?" she demanded of the stars. "Why set him in my path if you were just going to take him away? Why forbid my marriage to you? Oh Christ, if you plan to refuse me to anyone else. In a state of hysterical shock, she finished sewing her wedding dress and began to wear it, wandering the streets at night. She thought she saw Daniel out of the corner of her eye. She pursued the mirage, running barefoot up and down the plaza, wearing the hem of her gown to mango shreds. There was little her family could do. Her mind had simply snapped. "He's alive! He's alive!" she hissed at them when they tried to rein her in. "We've been lied to! Franco has him prisoner, but he's returned. No one can know. He's waiting for me in secret. I just have to keep looking." Isabel wore her soul and body out with the mad quest. Exposed to the elements, she fell deathly ill with pneumonia and died. But her spirit was not satisfied. It clinged to the center of that venerable town, searching for its eternal twin, the mate from which fate so cruelly cut off. The people of Roma have seen her, restlessly scouring the historical district, floating from church to convent and all along the plaza. Her wedding gown flutters eldritch white against the darkness, a symbol of undying love. Another amazing tragic story. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in to One Book or Novel at a Time. Don't forget to tune in a later time for a special treat that goes along with this story. Thank you for listening. You were amazing. Have a spectacular day.